I think the one thing that I would highly recommend anyone who's getting into this space. Hey, what's up everybody? So my name is Bobby.T, and on this channel we talk a little bit about how we create better videos through the principles of lights, camera, and action. And today we're gonna do an Ask Me Anything, as I'm new to this YouTube journey and I'm excited to kind of answer some questions that I asked you in my little small community about myself. And so let's dive right into this. Please check below for the chapters where you can just skip to whatever question that you care about or it's relevant to your interests, and we can take it from there. So we have 8 questions, and the first question is, how did you get into videography and how long have you been doing this? So myself, I've been doing this filmmaking / videography for the past 10 years, where I've been working with a range of different clients from businesses, organizations, and people around telling their stories. And in terms of vlogging, I've been doing that for about a decade too, where I started off with my mobile device, my iPhone, documenting my stories, documenting and sharing different things that I want to share with people, and a lot of that stuff has been archived. However, I've been doing this for the past basically decade. Number 2, what is your number 1 piece of advice that we give a beginner just learning the craft of filmmaking? I think the one thing that I would highly recommend anyone who's getting into this space is the idea of perseverance, dedication. Ultimately, one of the biggest tricks as a video creator to become successful, to become better at this process, is to really dedicate yourself to the journey. Too often do we get discouraged because we think people are not watching, people don't care, we don't have the best equipment, but really, if you kind of pursue the experience, the journey, and appreciate what you're trying to do, then through that process, through the many reps that you'll do of putting out bad content, you will hopefully, as a beginner, start the process of advancing, because quality is a forever pursuit. Number 3, how did you get such an awesome studio? So over the years, again, I've been doing this as my main business is filmmaking, and I started to invest more into my infrastructure and space, aka my environment. I realized quite quickly that if I was to reduce the amount of friction at times, then I could hopefully create more engaging, interesting content. And as well, over these past 5 years, I've been really falling in love with the process of creating stages, so that then myself and my guests that I bring on, whether it's my podcast or all the way down to, yes, my YouTube studio here, I'd be able to get into the right zone and framework to kind of create more engaging and hopefully impactful content. So I highly recommend that you start the process of investing in your environment. Number 4, what would it take to get featured in your podcast? My podcast is kind of like a closed door, just in respect to I try to share interesting insights or people that I come across. So it's sort of like an invite process, but I don't know, send me an email, drop me a DM, and maybe I'll say yes. Number 5, what is one mistake that you've made with your locks? So great question. My locks, my hair, is ultimately my signature and my brand. And halfway through my journey, as this has been about 11 years in the process of growing my hair, I did not really understand what I was doing, but now I have a very distinct framework about how important it is for myself to really drill down in my identity, my brand, my heritage, and then ultimately my signature. So doubling down on myself was the number 1 thing I did not do early enough, which is one of my mistakes for my locks. So number 6, what is your story about eSports? So for those who are not fully aware, eSports, electronic sports, I was a professional video game player, where when I was in high school and university, I was touring around the world from across Canada, up and down the United States, in Europe, such as Monza, Italy, Paris, South Korea. I was playing video games. And my video game of choice was a game called Counter-Strike, where there was multiple teams. My team, the Evil Geniuses, Team EG, was an international team traveling around the place competing under video games. It was such an awesome experience where I was exposed to the world around me, but more importantly, I was exposed to something I fell in love with and started developing a very burning passion about, which is marketing, because marketing was really the overarching industry that was fueling this emerging space of esports. And so I wanted to know more about it. I wanted to know why this subculture was growing and exploding, and it was a fascinating journey and experience. Number 7, what brings you joy? End of the day, one of the things that brings me a lot of joy is content creation. And really the reason why is, if you look back in the past, a decade, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, we couldn't do this. I couldn't communicate to people like yourselves through these channels, these platforms. I couldn't have access to these tools. And now, because of technology giving us the opportunity to create films, storytell, and share whatever we want to share as a whole, that gets me super pumped and excited. And so I really, truly love creating content, and that brings me a lot of joy to meet people, engage with them through content, and hopefully teach and learn and share something interesting. Number 8, and the last question, is how do you refine your passion? The way that I go through the process of refinding or resparking some of my passion is truly through self-reflection. I've been doing this task of ultimately journaling every single day in terms of acknowledging my accomplishments and really spending time to reflect on some of the things I take for granted, such as my health, my opportunities, and the people around me. Through that acts as a catalyst, so that then when I wake up the next day or the next week, or whenever I'm feeling down or upset because something is not going the right direction, I really just take heed that, hey, I am lucky, I am fortunate, I am blessed, and I have so much more opportunities than negative things happening in my life. And that becomes a spark and a catalyst that then keeps me going around my passions, my hobbies, my goals, my family, and everything else that's important to me. Now, if you got anything from this kind of Ask Me Anything, then I highly recommend that you check out this next video here.